called to order. Today we have 4 items that we're going to hear. We're going to hear Senate Bill 201. We are not going to hear House Bill 592, Municipal Incorporation Amendment. So if you're here for that item, we are not going to hear that. We will hear Senate Bill 163, Senate Bill 196, and Senate Bill 284. First, let's consider the minutes of February 27th, 2026. Discussion to the minutes. Representative Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 27th.
Motion is to approve the minutes of February 27th, 2026. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. We'll go to item number 1. First substitute Senate Bill 201, Shelter Animal Euthanasia Amendments. Senator Grover, it's a pleasure to have you back here. We hope you think the same when it's all over. Thank you.
We shall see. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I do want to thank the committee for giving us another bite at the apple. We, coming from the Senate, the legislation's going to be pretty okay. We've been working with stakeholders, and since the last committee meeting, we've been working more. And so, before you, hopefully online, there is a first sub there.
So you're speaking to the second sub?
Second sub, sorry. So, I entertain a motion to do that, and we can speak to that.
So we do it a little differently. So we'll have you present, and then the committee will decide if they want to adopt the sub.
Okay, so
we'll go ahead and present the second sub.
We'll present as if we're presenting to the second sub. Okay, and so I have, of course, with me Kate, who's been working on this bill diligently, and she'll go ahead and explain the nuances and differences between first and second sub.
Awesome. Thank you all for having us back. My name is Kate Hall again. I'm from Best Friends Animal Society. And yeah, we've been working really hard to compromise with the animal control officers, who I will just clarify, they are not directly impacted by this bill, but they shared some pretty strong concerns in our last committee hearing, and we really wanted them to feel like they were a partner in this. And so we have, per this new amendment, issued 3 different changes. The first one clarifies that the notification method is established by the shelters. Each shelter can choose what that notification method is. The second change we made is that the rescue group must collect within 2 days of notice. We initially drafted this to permit rescues 3 days to respond in the event that a rescue would not be able to get to the shelter before 5 p.m. on the last day of the stray hold. We are offering this as a good faith compromise, trusting our shelters will not euthanize immediately after the stray hold. And then the third and final change we've made just clarifies the release from liability in the event that there are bad actors. So that is the changes.
Thank you, Senator.
And if I may, and so in working with the various stakeholders, there was also additional language presented to talk about how we certify or govern rescue organizations. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this bill, but I did talk to the sheriff and say, well, that's something that we'd be able to do in the next session. It's not germane to this bill either. So this is obviously a work in progress. And so that is the essential difference between this first and second sub.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate that presentation. Let's go to the committee for clarifying questions. I don't see any. Let's go to the public. How many are here to speak in favor? Raise your hand. You have 1, 2. Well, you didn't do it all together. I'll just say that. So, okay, we got about 20. All right. How many? You're speaking in favor. How many are here to speak in opposition? All right. And we have 5 online. So what we'll do is we'll give you each 1.5 minutes, all right, to come forward and say, and we're going to take 1 in favor and then 1 in opposition if we have any online, and then we'll see how that works out. If everybody's in favor, then we don't need to hear from everybody. But we'll excuse our 2 guests, and 2 of you come up, make sure you log in and go and tell us who you're representing, and if it's just yourself, we need your name, and then if you'll sign in, please.
And may I offer these to the chair?
Yes, sure. Okay, come up, let's have our first 2 witnesses. Is there, all right, well, I didn't even ask that question. How many want to speak? Most of you just here in support? Oh, it's amazing. Others should follow your example. I'll just say that. That's a wonderful example. All right, there's nobody speaking opposition, is that right? Okay, let's go online to our first online. carried. Okay, Carrie Ward, you're up. Go ahead, please.
Am I there?
Yes, go ahead and turn your camera on.
I'm trying. There we go.
There we go.
Hi. Okay, I'm sorry, I had a 2-minute speech prepared.
Are you speaking in favor or against?
I am just speaking as an individual.
Are you in support or opposed to the bill?
I am opposed to it the way it is.
Okay, we'll give you 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Carrie Ward. I have worked at a large municipal animal shelter for 16 years in multiple roles and currently serve as an executive director's assistant and grant writer. I'm speaking today in my personal capacity based on my professional experience. The shelter rarely euthanizes for space. When euthanasia occurs, it is due to severe medical conditions, untreatable suffering, or documented aggression that presents a legitimate safety risk. These decisions involve trained staff and often veterinary input, and these decisions are never taken lightly. As an open admission municipal shelter, the shelter is legally required to accept every stray animal that comes through its doors, including cruelty cases, dangerous dogs, severe medical emergencies. The shelter already complies with Utah's 5 business day hold and actively posts at-risk animals, contacts rescue partners, and seeks placement options. This bill requires additional notification and transfer timelines before euthanasia may occur. In practice, rescues and foster homes are already full. Extending timelines without increasing capacity does not create placement options. It increases confinement time, stress, disease, strain of staff, and taxpayers. When an animal has been prophetically determined to pose a danger or is suffering without reasonable medical resolution, delaying humane euthanasia does not improve welfare. Additionally, this bill provides no funding. Municipal shelters cannot turn animals away, yet they're being asked to absorb additional administrative and housing burdens without additional resources. Utah does not have a holding period crisis. Utah has a prevention crisis. If the goal is to reduce euthanasia, the most effective investment is funding and expanded access to spay and neuter services for both pet owners and shelters. Spay and neuter efforts have fallen behind since COVID, and the veterinary workforce shortage has created a crisis in preventing unwanted litters. Legislation that addresses prevention will have the greatest impact in reducing unnecessary euthanasia at the source. Everyone shares the goal of protecting animals and serving communities responsibly. I respectfully ask that any legislator consider capacity realities, funding implications, and equitable application across all sheltering organizations. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to our next online. Rodney Hurst, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Committee, I appreciate a few minutes of your time this afternoon. And I also appreciate Senator Grover's and Ms. Hall's work on this proposed legislation, particularly subsection 5 on the liability. I didn't get this bill until
He's our chairman
didn't get this bill here until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So what board members I could round up, and after discussing it with the shelter director, I think we would still be in opposition, primarily due to subsection 1. Just the lack of clarity for us is a major sticking point.
Is that your comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Now we have Brian DeGray.
Hello, thank you for hearing me. I'm Ryan DeGray. I'm with Salt Lake County Animal Services. I have been in with the county now for 8 years, and over half of that as an animal control officer. When I'm looking at this bill, why I'm in support of this bill is looking at how it runs congruent to that stray hold, so I can look, I know what my kennel capacity is, I know how many animals I have, and I can be planning ahead to how many, when I need to reach out to rescues, so I do not need to hold them longer than the stray hold period. I can look at what my officers are bringing in, what's coming into the shelter and the space that we have and plan for that. So I see this as an opportunity to work with all the rescue partners out there and to save more lives of these animals as opposed to euthanizing just for space adoptable animals.
I thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll go to our next person. Ian Williams.
Thank you, Chair, and the members of the committee. Can
Thanks
you
for
hear me okay now?
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Sure. My name is Ian Williams. I am the president of the Utah Animal Control Officers Association. I've had more than 20 years in the animal control field, starting out my career as an animal service officer, and then even being director of a municipal shelter. Currently, the Utah Animal Control Officers Association is opposed to the current draft, the second substitution, for a couple quick reasons that I'll enumerate. I know it's been represented here that the animal control officers really aren't affected by this. And while that may be true for some shelters, something like Salt Lake County is set up where there is a division between field service officers and shelter staff. The field officers don't have to come in and clean and feed the animals in a large facility like Salt Lake County. However, in many of our outlying municipalities and rural shelters, the animal service officers are doing the feeding, cleaning, everything that would be directed by this bill. And so that's kind of our sticking point, is that this bill doesn't affect everybody across the state equally. It will have an impact on municipal shelters. And our first and more critical examination of the bill is its fiscal note. Currently, the substitute fiscal note says the bill has zero ongoing cost, zero one-time cost, and no direct measurable cost to local governments. However, we feel that's misleading. The bill itself adds mandatory notice and waiting periods before euthanasia, including that 2 business day transfer and request and pickup, even though it came down from 3 days. It still means that there's additional shelter days. Even with the concurrent language, the honest truth, the practical truth of this is that nobody considers euthanasia on day 1. We're going to hold those animals for maybe the 5 business days before that becomes a consideration, and we're adding on at least 2 business days, so not including weekends. But there is additional shelter days, the staffing, housing, feeding, cleaning, vet care, and liability, for those shelters. When the bill was first introduced, its fiscal note acknowledged that added burden, estimating at least $6,000 ongoing to county and animal shelters, or county animal shelters beginning in fiscal year 2027. That was since dropped, with the substitution of concurrent enrollment, but that's just not going to be the case. There will be added days. There's some other things we'd like, put in. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time, but we'd like to see some more requests for euthanasia protections, a little bit of equity, like was kind of mentioned, some direction for rescues. The bill's language, it was argued last week that the onus is on the rescues. This isn't going to affect municipal shelter operations. But the reality is it will impact our operations. There's no cost to putting an animal online or sending an email or making it, a phone call to rescue. Yeah, we're not worried about those costs. We're worried about the actual day and care costs. And we'd like to see that rescues, if we're contacting them, the onus is on them, then there should be some language in this that directs that. Right now, the language is only directing animal shelter operations. And so we'd like to see our Utah shelters, if we're going to do this, there should be some equitable language where rescues should prioritize Utah shelters and pull Utah animals before importing animals from out of the state. Lastly, just as our police Police Chief Hurst indicated there's some ambiguity in some of the language in Section 1. We're a little concerned about the ambiguity and reasonable alternatives. It's still undefined in this bill. There seems to be maybe some quality, a technical problem in the drafting quality. Subsection 3A1, C, and D refer to notices described in subsection 3.1A, but A is a holding period clause. The actual notice clause is in B. This looks like just maybe a cross-reference error that should be fixed before the bill moves forward. So it looks to us that there's still some work that needs to be done. Finally, dangerous animal provisions we think are too narrow and species specific. The current substitute creates a carve-out only for dogs that has been determined dangerous under state and local law. That protection should be broad to cover dangerous animals generally, not single out one species while ignoring other legitimate public safety and zoonotic risk cases. Utah law already moved away from breed-specific dog regulations. We stood with our legislatures in doing that. We believe this bill should avoid moving toward another species-specific framework. And as I understand it, the Utah...
Sorry, if you could go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah, I'll do it right now. Sorry to be long, but
no, that's fine.
There's a lot of concerns that my membership has. And
let me ask you a question about dangerous animals. How does this bill change the current state law on treating dangerous animals?
It's not changing the current state law. What it's doing is indicating that only dogs can be exempted from this process and putting notifications out to our rescue partners. So we're saying we can prioritize public safety risk when it comes to dogs, but not any other animal in consideration. And that's something we worry about getting too narrow in that, in the interest of public safety, and again, even zoonotic risk cases, zoonotic diseases.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments.
Fair enough, thank you.
Stephanie Whitehead, you're next.
Can you see me?
Not yet, but we're hoping soon.
Okay, it keeps telling me that I am unable to ask it. And I tell it to start my video. Let's try this again, I apologize.
We can hear you. Have you turned your video on?
Okay. I apologize. When I click the button to turn it on, it tells me that I need to give Zoom Workplace access to my camera from my device, and I tell it that that's okay. I'm giving it permission to have access, but it doesn't do anything.
Well, we'll go to our next witness, and then we'll come back and give you another shot if you can get it fixed, okay?
All right, thank you.
Next one, Talia Butler. Hi, Talia, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Talia Butler. I'm the Division Director of Salt Lake County Animal Services. I have worked in county government for 22 years. Salt Lake County takes in by far the largest amount of animals in the state. I mean, by far the largest. Thousands and thousands of animals, 10,000 plus a year that we take in. And we could not be successful if it wasn't for our rescue partners. The rescue partners in our community and our community in general help to make our government shelters better. Taking an animal off our hands or out of our care, it relieves the responsibility off of the public and puts it on a private organization. This saves taxpayer money, but I want to get into a little bit about what else it does. Giving an animal to a rescue as opposed to euthanizing it is better for our employees. It is better for the community. It gives shelters access to grants and fundraising and things that were not available before that. But most importantly, it saves animals' lives. It seems almost crazy that we have to make a law that says that we need to notify the public of animals that are available. That just seems like a reasonable thing to do, and yet we still have places in the state that are euthanizing a lot of animals. We have never once, in the entire time that I've been at Animal Services, have had a dangerous cat deemed by the court dangerous. Thousands and thousands of cases. I mean, we have the most cases, and we have not had a cat deemed dangerous, but there are dangerous dogs, and the cards out in this bill allow for those dangerous animals and for the sick and injured animals. So I just urge you to be in support of this bill for the shelter employees and our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about the holding period?
No, it runs congruent with the stray weight period. The fact is that any animal that comes to a shelter is at risk of euthanasia. That's the facts. They are homeless animals, every single animal. So having it congruent completely works. We should be notifying the public and rescues the minute an animal comes to a shelter anyway, in hopes that we can get it out as quickly as possible. Every single day that an animal is at the shelter, it's money wasted. If we can get that animal into a rescue or into a home, we're saving taxpayer dollars. So definitely there's no issue with it running congruent. And there's no cost in letting your rescue partners know that you have an animal that you would like them to rescue.
Thank you. I have another question.
Yep.
Are there dangerous animals other than cats or dogs?
So this bill, I believe, specifically only is for cats and dogs, and the answer is yes. We do have dangerous animals, but
they would not be impacted by this.
Yes, this is not, they're not part of this bill.
Well, thank you very much for your testimony. Okay, Kirsten, go ahead. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Alright, does that work?
Yes, we can hear you.
Alright, my name is Kirsten Mumford. I've been with larger animal shelters for over 20 years now. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to, I'm opposed to this bill, and I agree with previous speakers in opposition to this bill. As animal shelter professionals, we care deeply about reducing euthanasia. But meaningful change comes from prevention, expanding access to low-cost spay and neuter services, and addressing irresponsible breeding. Rather than restricting the professional judgment of those tasked with protecting both animals and the public, our responsibility is to balance compassion with safety, particularly, and stewardship of taxpayer resources. This bill, though well-intended, shifts the balance in ways that may create additional strain on shelters and communities without addressing the root cause of overpopulation. And for these reasons, I'm opposed to this bill. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your concise comments. Okay, this is going to be our last online commenter. Thank you, Siri Main.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Siri Main. I am the director of Weber County Animal Services. I am also the director of Weber County, the supervisor of Weber County Animal Control. I am speaking in support of this bill. Very quickly, I'd just like to say, I truly believe this bill will push for communication and collaboration between shelters and rescues and give animals a chance. As a shelter director, this gives a as a shelter director, not only does this give animals a chance, it holds myself and others in my position accountable to something greater than my own judgment. As an animal control officer, I understand that my officers do not see animals when they are on their best behavior. More often than not, this is not a true indication of their personality, but a fear response to that, to what's currently occurring to them. Whether being chased around, whether they're being rescued from an abusive environment, or an animal who knows nothing else but to project aggression in order to self-preserve, Currently, our shelter protocols are that the officers intake the animals or take the animals to the shelter. And I will say, for Weber County Animal Services, I employ 3 full-time animal control officers, and my animal control officers take care of my feral room and they take care of my feral quarantine room, and they're able to do all of their tasks as animal control officers as well, without going over in terms of overtime. My shelter staff, after the animal control officers intake the animals, my shelter staff care for the animals. Many departments have a hand to play. So my development department will post the animals for adoption. They'll post the animals for rescue after a stray hold, that is. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This takes us well beyond the requirements of the bill and the stray hold. I will say, as a municipal shelter, I am given a very limited budget to do what I need to do for the fiscal year, and we're able to do it. It is not easy. This is not an easy path. However, I want to second everything Ms. Butler said as well in her comments. It does open us up for grants. Weber County received our first grant ever in terms of promoting our foster program.
We appreciate your testimony. Could you conclude, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. That is all. Thank you.
And that was obedient. Thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Okay, we're going to close the online public comment period. Is there anybody in the audience that nobody wants to speak? No, wait a minute. You didn't raise your hand earlier. Okay, we'll take 2. You each get a minute and a half. Come on up, both at the same time, please. Go ahead and have a seat and introduce yourself, and then you can sign in the witness sheet. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Smith, and I have volunteered in a lot of different capacities. First in California and here in Utah, and I have to say it is wonderful volunteering in Utah because it is quite different than in California. So a lot of good things are happening here. I'm hearing a lot of professionals speaking, and when you talk about a budget, what I do is all out of my own pocket. So I understand budgets, and I've worked with a lot of shelters, rescues, just people on their own trying to make a difference for the animals. And professionally, I audit. So I find that when you're not tracking something, when you don't have procedures in place, a lot of things fall. If we don't have time for it, we're not going to be doing it. So I think we need things in place, laws in place that encourage this type of collaboration. And I see the background of it where you have to plan and do transport. And those transports, I mean, I've gone to Weber, I've gone all over, and those transports take a lot of collaboration, and it takes time. And the same thing with pulling fosters. There's a lot that's going on in the background with people who are doing this out of their own pockets as well. We're all trying to come together, helping our municipalities as well as helping our community. And so I just wanted to speak to all of you just as individuals.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Sir, you are last public comment.
Paul Zuckerman. I and my fellow volunteers work for Best Friends Animal Society. They will go far and wide in the state to try to save every animal. I applaud that. Every animal needs a chance to live. And if we can, the key to this is getting coordination amongst many organizations. And I'm always hearing about a new rescue. There's many people out there, if they just knew about an animal, they would gladly take it in and give it its best chance to find a home. I want to remind us of a story I heard when I was teaching. A child is on the beach throwing starfish back into the water that had washed up, and there were thousands, and a man comes along. Surely you can't expect to save them all. And he said, the little boy says, yes, but every one of them matters, and I threw that one back. So we're talking about large groups of animals here, but they are each individual beings that need to have the best chance to survive. I want us to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both very much. Okay, the public comment period is closed. We'll come back to the committee for action. Representative Arthur.
Thank you, Mr.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt substitute 2.
The motion is to adopt second substitute Senate Bill 201. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Always.
And Senator, well, we'll go to the committee. Discussion to the motion to adopt second substitute. Seeing none, Senator Grover for summation to adopt the second sub.
I waive.
Representative Arthur? I'll place the motion to adopt second substitute Senate Bill 201. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Further discussion? Representative Arthur?
I'd like to continue and make a motion that we recommend favorably substitute to Senate Bill 201.
Motion is to recommend favorably second substitute Senate Bill 201. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would, just very briefly, I'll just say that I appreciate the work that has gone into the bill since we last saw it. I understand the concerns that were raised by folks who were speaking against the bill. However, I do believe that while holding animals for a short amount of time on top of what is currently practiced could invariably lead to increased costs for those days and effort. I believe that the time and the effort are worthy for this cause.
Thank you, Representative Arthur. To the committee, to the motion to recommend favorably. Seeing none, Senator Grover for summation.
Yeah, again, I appreciate the willingness of the committee to listen to this bill and give us a chance to work on it and get it to a much better spot. This policy is not quite perfected. However, this bill is really good in what it addresses. There are other things in the AOC world, animal control world, and rescue organizations that any of you are welcome to open up bill files next year and run those issues. But this one is very specific to giving the chance for a pet to find a home by reaching out to rescue organizations and helping them find a place to be. And that's my summary.
Thank you, Senator Grover. Representative Arthur for summation.
Always.
Summation is waived. I'll place the motion to recommend favorably second substitute Senate Bill 201 shelter animal euthanasia amendments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
Okay, so open those. We have Representative Walter, Kohler, Representative Kohler, Representative T.C. Manu, and then who's online? Representative Hanson's a no. Representative Quinn, what was your vote? Representative Quinn, how did you vote?
I voted yes in support of the bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Tusher, are you online? Representative Tusher?
Sorry, I'm here.
Yes, how did you vote?
Yes.
So the motion carries 5-4 with Representative Walter, Kohler, Fatisi, Manu, and Hampson in opposition. Thank you, Senator. I want to thank all you folks that came. You were very respectful and very well behaved. Thank you. That was impressive. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll go to